We said, come up with a name and a strategy for
Can,
this thing. And it came back and it said, yeah, name it artificial intelligence. I thought, that's
can I ask you,
fantastic.
Justin, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Two questions. The first one is, how do I know this is you and not AI right now?
Well, you don't actually, because I've actually cloned my voice and used it on the radio before, literally, and not even phoning it in, but texting it in. Just an example, but this is actually me talking, so you can trust me, right? But
But
no,
yeah, I would say so.
yeah.
Okay, and the second thing, I want to go to something Matt said, and I don't want to, I don't want to, ignore the benefits in terms of making up for human imperfections. So, Matt made a really good point: is that lawyers could be biased. Lawyers could have, they have an incentive to keep you paying. Okay, and those
Why are you riding on lawyers this entire time? Like I know we're friends, but
because you're
this has been a.
Yep. When you're co-hosting, man, expect to be at the end of that shotgun barrel.
It's because you don't believe in time.
Justin, what do you think of that argument that Matt made? That essentially not AI not only can replace, but could better replace, and not better as in not only more efficiently, but also removing the biases that could be involved in various job positions.
Oh yeah,
And that could be
absolutely.
anyone from lawyers to negotiators, and the list goes on.
Yeah, I mean, certain jobs that are basically like a stenographer, their job is gone within the next 2 years, probably. But other people that do sort of rote work, like lawyers, their work is going to be gone too. But that's nothing relatively new. I mean, there was a great book by Paul Andrews, and this was like 1999, called "How the Web Was Won," and it talked about this online forum for legal advice and people that were basically the writers on that website. People would come and ask questions, and then they would get paid basically on the rating that people gave for their advice. There was one guy who just ranked right to the top, and other people that were on the site were so jealous of them, they went and tracked him down and found out it was a 15-year-old kid who had access to a bunch of law books and was just basically doing this rote. Now, ChatGPT can do that so easily, especially for stuff that's very basic and everything else there. And so it'll be very interesting to see what impact this has on all those industries.
So
But anything that basically can be the application of a rule, of a law, of some type of logic is going to be impacted dramatically from this. That's why when I'm doing these fundraising text messages, I simply give it my best 10 text messages that have worked in the past. It analyzes that. It tells me exactly what I need to do next. And then I give it my next client, and it composes it for me in a very,
So
gets me
Justin, can
about
I ask you one
80%
more
there.
question, because I see a lot
Yeah.
of hands up. One more question, by the way, Rob and who was the other speaker that was in the audience? He spoke on our stage before. Illustrator, come up. I see you in the audience. Let me send you an invite, Rob. Next question I have for you, Justin, is do you worry that your job could be completely replaced by AI? And then if you do worry, which I think your answer would be yes, what steps are you taking to make sure you hedge that risk?
I don't worry about it at all, because I'm just so excited about life. I find, look, I got 8 kids, so I got other things to do. And so it helps me do that. It's not going to replace my job. It's basically going to replace the stuff that I do that's become normative or repetitive or predictable. And so I'll move on to less predictable things, and then it'll take over those, and I'll go on to the next steps.
Okay. And lastly, maybe one quick question for you, Justin. And I haven't asked you that many questions in a long time, but what do you think of what Elon's doing with X.AI? Now, I wish you were here earlier when he was listening. You could have heard your feedback directly. But what are your thoughts on what XAI could look like with Tesla and Twitter?
Well, I think it's very powerful, but I also think he's kind of playing catch up. I think what's crazy is people like Google, even Microsoft, all these groups have been caught completely with their pants down around this thing, because their minds were so attuned to people chunking up, their searches on Google into keywords, that they never thought that this would be. I mean, they were working on it, but they just got caught red-handed and like, oh my gosh, we're done for. So I think Elon's playing a little catch up. They know this is where the ball is headed. In fact, this is going to impact a lot of things. You notice, for example, Apple isn't playing up their big AR announcement here, because they know it's kind of out of place in the middle of this whole chaos of artificial intelligence. It'll be interesting if they even introduce it here in the spring, or if they're going to wait until the fall or even next year. They can bide their time. But notice, everything is AI, and everyone is working to catch up to it. Interestingly enough, The last major revolution tech that we had, of course, was the revolution of the iPhone in 2007, 2008, in the middle of a major economic upheaval. Here we are again, major economic upheaval going to happen right now, and we're on this cusp of this next revolution. Just interesting parallels there.
You're too positive. Is there someone more negative from the hands that are up?
I'll give it to my wife. My wife thinks I'm crazy going after this stuff.
We're too negative on one side, and went in the middle, and then you kind of took it way too positive and optimistic and utopian. So let me go to Davis. Davis is usually good at balancing things out. What do you think, Davis? Is Justin getting too excited? Is he too much of an optimist?
I don't think he's necessarily too much of an optimist. It depends on how we decide to use the technology. I think of even ChatGPT right now, where you can ask it to find all of the errors and holes in software and on a website. You can say, hey, find me all of the exploits and how I can hack into this particular piece of software, the script. But you can also use that in a positive sense as a white hat hacker and make your website more resilient and stronger against attacks, because the AI is inherently neutral at the moment, and it doesn't really know whether or not you're going to use it for good or for bad.
AGI?
Yes. So I think I listened to all of the discussion since the last kind of 5 hours, and I think there is 2 points that solve almost everything. You want to own the assets. If you own the assets like the AI agents or the AGI nodes, for example, then you are kind of protected. It's like in the Industrial Revolution, where you want to own the means of production. So I think if you own the AI agent, for example, if everybody owns an AI agent, then everybody has its own priority. Then it's like you have an AI agent that is augmenting you. And also you have an asset that is also producing an income for you. And also you will be able to do much, much more, which is extremely exciting. I think also it's reducing the social inequalities. Like for me, I was raised in a foster family when I was very young. So I was beaten in foster family until age 18. And they were not valorizing education at all. So there were no books there or anything like that. If I would have access to ChatGPT, I would have been able to.
We do have a breaking news, by the way. Please tweet something. So Ron DeSantis, nothing too major, but it's unrelated as well. But Ron DeSantis just filed his candidacy for president of the United States. So now it's official. Biden was 2 days ago, and now Ron DeSantis. So the battle begins: Ron versus Trump, and then eventually, most likely, Trump versus Biden, which obviously we'll be covering here on a daily basis. But I want to move away from the kind of the doom and gloom. So I want to kind of head it back to reality, what's happening today. Alan, I've got a question for you. What are the opportunities for people, for entrepreneurs today, to make the most out of out of the fast-moving pace in which AI is moving?
Mario, just 1 second. Just to tie things together real quick, I think AGI hit the nail on the fucking head, which is he who owns the tools to the ecosystem and to the technology wins. And he who implements a time gap and a stop and then has more than enough resources to then own and control that is probably the exact reason why AGI is correct, but Elon's doing exactly what he's doing.
So what do you mean by that?
And I would love to add that if we want to have AGI in the hand of the people, and the way to do that is for the people to own the AI nodes, the AGI nodes. Then we are building decentralized AGI. So if people own the AGI nodes, the AGI agents, then